From CBS News Bay Area, this is the Evening Edition.
Now at 11, dozens of people living in their RVs told to hit the road as San Francisco cracks down on one of their prime parking sites.
I asked for a tow, and they denied it to me. They said you have to figure it out yourself.
Protesters want to take a hammer to a former slammer in Dublin, even as the feds look to the former jail as a place to put undocumented migrants. And it was a hot-button issue in the November election, shutting off access to the Great Highway to locals and tourists alike. Not everybody thinks it'll be a walk in the park starting in April. But we will begin on this Saturday night with dozens of people living at a safe parking site who are about to get the boot and a proposal from San Francisco. Either accept alternative housing or move your vehicles by Monday. This is happening at what was Candlestick Park in the city's Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood. Amanda Harry says plenty of folks don't know what to do next.
There's still about 30 vehicles inside. All of them are being asked to leave by Monday. The site is gated and there is security, so we weren't allowed on the site. But we spoke to a man who lives inside, and he says many of the people don't know what they're going to do with their vehicles, and some don't know where they're going to go.
Here's the hoarder.
In the last few months, the people who live at the San Francisco Bayview Vehicle Triage Center say their lives have been turned upside down.
100%. I mean, total. Like an earthquake.
Aaron Wilson was noticeably emotional when he described the stress he's been under. He's lived at the safe parking site since March 2024. The city announced the closure in December. It was shortly after officials finally managed to connect reliable power, nearly 3 years after opening. A 2023 budget analysis report estimates the cost per vehicle at the site to be about $140,000 per year. Emily Cohen with the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing explained to Bay City News why they're shutting down the facility, citing costly infrastructure issues, lease renewal issues, and difficulties understanding the best way to serve people living in their vehicles. She said, quote, "I think that's what government is supposed to do. If something's not working, you're supposed to end it and move on. Like, we don't want to just keep doing something that has demonstrated that it's not working." The people living in their vehicles have been offered housing. Not all of them have accepted, but Wilson did. Still, he doesn't know what to do with his RV.
I asked for a tow, and they denied it to me. Bayview Hunters Point Foundation, this is the so-called caseworkers. They said, no, we're not giving it to you. You have to figure it out yourself.
If he doesn't, it may be towed to an impound lot. When he moved into the triage center nearly a year ago, he was told the HSH would provide services to fix his vehicle and get him back on his feet. He claims they never did what they promised. He says many of the other vehicles at the site are in similar states of disrepair and can't be moved. Wilson has started a GoFundMe to try to get his vehicle moved and fixed so he can potentially sell it.
I'm going to have to find a place for the vehicle in the interim, whatever I'm going to do with it. I have to get it registered, and then I can have it for sale, right? And in that time, I got to hope it doesn't get broken into, that's why they call it safe parking. It's like break-ins to RVs that people are living in are very common in San Francisco, okay? It's almost assured. So and of course, if you leave, and they've been watching it, you're opening yourself up.
Everything he owns is inside his RV, and the same is true for many of the others. He also has several cats, and he won't be able to bring them all to his new housing. He hopes to find a way to keep them safe, too.
And I don't want to lose any of them.
From what people who live here currently understand, if they don't get their vehicles out on Monday, they may be towed on Tuesday.
We did ask the city if there's an update on the situation and if people will be able to get assistance moving broken down vehicles, but we haven't heard back from the city yet. Down in Palo Alto, since we're on this parking theme, an overnight parking program on Gang Road has been so helpful to homeless people that they're looking to expand that program. City Council backed an expansion that would allow the Gang Road parking site to house 22 RVs total. That's 10 more than it has today. And like Palo Alto, Oakland has partnered with local churches to open up parking spots overnight, not just for RVs, but for all kinds of vehicles. And in San Jose, they've got a new safe parking site on Berryessa across from the flea market this Monday, March 3rd. That's when it will start. The city says it will accommodate up to 86 RVs. The vehicles will not be required to have up-to-date registration or insurance. despite the fact that they're not supposed to be able to drive there without both. And to get off this parking theme and onto the wet roads that they will be parking upon, a little heavy mist.
Yeah, we're kind of surrounded on the virtual map. You can see these little green and blue splotches.
Yep.
I can't find really anything measurable. Did you get rain while you were out?
Yeah, they're kind of a heavy mist.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be like tonight.
Yeah.
Then tomorrow morning, it will get a little better. This is not a blockbuster storm by any means, but the rain that we've had tonight, this is the system struggling to be able to produce the kind of rain that it will be able to do a better job of by the time we get into tomorrow. Let me just show you what the futurecast looks like between now and then. We'll clear out the light showers of tonight. Keep your eye out here as we get into like 2, 3 in the morning. You're going to see a crop of more showers show up, and then they're going to get kind of shuttled along as we go into the early morning hours tomorrow. We'll just stop it right here at 8:30. This would be one of the more likely time frames for this system to be able to produce rain. Now, the intensity is better than it is out there right now. So this stuff we'll actually be able to measure, but it's still like less than 1/10 of an inch of rain. And there's a possibility we can see showers persist through Sunday, but it will not rain all day. In fact, when we get back together again in the complete forecast, we'll pick it up the story from this point. I'll walk you through Sunday so you can kind of plan your outdoors. I'll show you when this is going to come to an end from this first system, and then we need to talk about 2 more that are coming our way for a good part of next week. None of them are major, but there's a chance of rain that's just going to stick around for a bit. See you in just a little bit, Brian. Back to you.
All righty, Darren. Back to the news. We've got a new development tonight in that officer-involved shooting last weekend at the Hillsborough Police Department. Investigators released that sketch of a person they say was seen in the area shortly before the shooting. They say he is a Hispanic man in his mid to late 20s, about 5'6", wearing a black hat, jacket, and jeans. What happened was, a week ago, somebody got into the Hillsborough Police Station back parking lot and then shot an officer who was wearing a bulletproof vest. The officer was taken to the hospital, released a short time later. There's no information on a motive, only that they think that it was a targeted attack. In other news tonight, San Francisco's newest park will be opening alongside Ocean Beach next month after voters approved closing the 2-mile stretch of the Great Highway to traffic for good on March 14th and open up a park in its place on April 12th. The closure stretches from Sloat Boulevard to Lincoln Way. Most of the people living in the neighborhood voted it down. They were overruled by San Franciscans who don't have to put up with the extra neighborhood traffic. We spoke with a disabled senior who lives nearby. She says it's going to be hard for her to even leave her home.
If I tried to cross the street, I can't run out of the way. It makes it very dangerous. You know, it's just, you have heavy traffic, you're going to have more accidents.
The new park, the city is asking folks to help them pick a name. People can submit any ideas until March 16th. The name will be finalized in early April. Over in Oakland, 4 Oakland fire stations will remain open after all, through at least the end of this fiscal year. They had been on a closure list, but now Oakland is back to the drawing board, trying to figure out where to get $130 million. That's their budget shortfall. They have other options: a hiring freeze, the cancellation of 2 police academies, and general layoffs. The captain says the cutbacks have put a strain on firefighters.
Everyone in the department's workload has gone up because the calls haven't stopped. And so every year, the Oakland Fire Department responds to nearly 80,000 calls for service. And those 80,000 calls are going to happen whether we have 10 fire engines or 100 fire engines.
Meanwhile, fire stations 25 and 28, which were temporarily closed in January, will stay closed until at least this summer. Well, another weekend and more protests against what's coming out of Washington these days. Hundreds of transgender rights advocates were out in the Tenderloin today, demanding that the city push back against the Trump administration's executive orders that they say are using trans people as political scapegoats.
I think it's happening as a way to flex that power and to get people to find another enemy. They're making trans people the enemy so they don't.
Trump is pushing for a ban on transgender women in female sports and a ban on gender-affirming care. Tenderloin is the first legally established transgender safety district in the world. And there was more shouting across the bay in Dublin.
No hate, no fear. Immigrants are welcome here.
Several hundred protesters lined busy intersections near a former prison for women. That prison closed last spring, and now ICE is looking to possibly use it as a detainment facility. A lot of demonstrators say they never want to see the prison reopened because of its history of sexual abuse of female inmates.
At FCI Dublin, the Federal Correctional Institute for Women down the street must remain permanently closed.
ICE did not respond, but they have confirmed that they are looking for locations for new detainment facilities. And the Trump administration's cuts to the national parks have people steamed as well, bringing people out at several parks, including the Presidio in San Francisco. And at the park that has been protected since Abraham Lincoln was president, demonstrators said that we need to be doing more, not less, to protect things like Yosemite.
This man and his cronies are dismantling our nation. They are trying to burn it down. They are destroying the institutions that make this country move. The transportation, the education, the parks, commerce. They're shutting it down, and they're going to hurt us all in untold ways for generations to come.
More than 325 million people visit the national parks and forests each year. And still ahead tonight at 11, how the rest of the world is adjusting now that the smoke has settled from that heated exchange between Presidents Trump and Zelensky. And then a major trade for the 49ers as they say goodbye to a famous name and its $21 million salary. It's coming up.